Who hasn't zoned out during combat and imagined a whole new world, or watched a movie through and said, hey, that place would make a great D&D campaign? Or woken up from a nightmare and known you had the most terrifying big bad evil guy ever conceived? Is it just me on that last one? Okay, I'll just go sit in the back of the classroom. Anyway, part of the fun of having D&D as a hobby is thinking up new stuff. New characters, new spells, and of course, ideas for new campaigns. So, let's hear about some of yours in the comments below. I've got a bit of a campaign concept going on here, which will hopefully screw with the players' minds just a little bit. The concept is the usual start. The big bad is starting to cause ominous rumblings, and the party starts to try to sort things out. They do some quests and get some renown, and grow a little bit attached to the world. Then they are called into an artificer who has a powerful machine in which they can use to fight the big bad evil guy. The machine is simply a respawn point. If they die, the machine will pull their souls back and rebuild them as they are now. The only problem is that the machine cannot store memories, so they will not remember anything that has happened since they used the machine. If they use the machine, that is, then go and write a number on a piece of paper and die. They will not remember the piece of paper or what they wrote. The party, presumably, will agree as this implies immortality and repeated efforts, trying again and again to complete the tasks but not fearing death. When they all stand on the platform, they will be blinded by a flash of light and feel energy coursing through their body. They feel like they are being disintegrated in reverse, and they will look out on a slightly changed room. The furniture has moved, the cobwebs have built up, and the artificer, notably older, is trying to put out a fire and ranting at them. All of you, at once? What happened? Did you fall down a pit? Oh, this is terrific. You're not all supposed to use it at once. You've overloaded it. It's gone. Dead. Kaput. They will learn that it is several years since they've used the machine, and in that time they have been fighting the big bad evil guy constantly, dying and respawning individually and being caught up by one another. But somehow, some way, they all died at once and have overloaded the machine. This is now their last chance to save the world. They have rooms which have cool items and stuff that their characters have collected during these lost lives, and notes which hint at things. Perhaps a diary which features concerns of a betrayal or plans for a heist. I will need to do the fleshing out to suit it. I would likely give each of them something which might indicate that they were a traitor in a previous life. Maybe a detailed map of the big bad evil guy's castle, or an item which belonged to the big bad evil guy, and may have been a gift. You know, that kind of thing. The party will get one shot at dealing with the big bad, and the big bad will be new to them. Though they will remember them and greet them like old friends or enemies, knowing them well and acting as though they have been fighting for years, which they have. The world will have changed dramatically in this time, with obvious signs of war and stuff. I need to iron out the details. So yeah, that's my plan for them to suddenly be jumped to where the big bad evil guy is a lot closer to completing their goals, and to be given a bunch of cool stuff and a mystery to unravel to try and work out who was a traitor if they even care at all. Hopefully, it'll all work out well, if I ever run it, of course. Dragons used to be common. Sights of winged forms flying through the sky was an everyday occurrence and not one to be reacted to with fear. Dragons and humans lived, if not with harmony, then in distant tolerance. But that was many years ago. The stories say they abandoned their dragon forms and lived as humanoids, and for many years any mage of strong power was speculated to be one. That suspicion too has died away, and now dragons remain only in art and in legend. Or do they? When a collection of mysterious, mystical gemstones is found near a small village, the strongest forces in the land take notice. Some seek them for knowledge, others for power, and still some others may be looking for kin. My idea is that the player characters will be one of the interested parties, maybe working for a noble or faction. This is all to be determined based on their alignment, their goals, all after creation. A few other ideas I had were, Dragonborn are scarce, although some exist on the fringes to society. or in service of their parent, a dragon disguised as a humanoid. Kobolds are held in high esteem for their draconic connections. The gems, eggs definitely, might hatch, which will leave the players with a or multiple baby dragons. Different factions want the eggs for different things, and one faction might steal them from the faction the players deliver them to. Multiple factions are headed by disguised dragons. Dragon alignment is not dependent on scale color, and the eggs will hatch random colors of dragons. Now here are some questions I need to answer. Why are the dragons hiding? Who is the main villain? May be determined during the game. What specifically are the factions? One is definitely Kobold nobility. This narrator has a possible solution to the hiding dragon conundrum. Maybe the big bad evil guy, or evil gal, is actually a draconic bloodline sorcerer, and they basically started killing and absorbing dragon souls specifically to gain more power, and thus the dragons are basically hiding after being nearly killed to extinction and harvested for their powers. I'm running a Ravenloft one-shot this Halloween that's basically gonna be a homebrew expansion of the House of Lament adventure from VRGTR with some tie-ins to my existing Ravenloft campaign storyline. So I played a bit of Descent into Avernus at my table, and on a whim I entertained the idea of the opposite, Ascent to Mount Celestia. I had a fascination with the upper planes and the celestial-type creatures, and thought it would be interesting to see how players would navigate the literal realms of the gods. It also has the nice irony of having very mortal adventurers having to deal with a plane that is purely good, and sometimes excessively lawful. Invariably, someone is going to piss someone off, which, might lead to amusing encounters. Not to mention as to whether or not a mortal can even handle the vices or revelry of literal heavenly creatures. The overarching conflict is also not too dissimilar to the concept set forth in Descent in Avernus. There are planetars and angels who basically feel like they're not doing enough to preserve the forces of good within the cosmic balance. And there is something of a civil unrest among the natives of the upper planes. Anyway, the adventurers would start the adventure by winning a mystical lottery held at a festival celebration outside Waterdeep. They, the victors, win a free, all-expense-paid trip to Brightwater, essentially Las Vegas, but on the celestial plane of Arborea. From there, they would learn of a mysterious coup plotting to usurp the hierarchy of the heavens. Well, to make matters worse, a peculiar sickness would be causing the celestial creatures of the realm to behave erratically. Lawful entities driven to excessive violence over minor infractions, and chaotic creatures being sent into maddening rampages. The sickness would slowly creep its way up the various levels of Mount Celestia, and the adventurers would have to make their pilgrimage up the mountain to find out where it came from and how to stop it. Along the way, they might even have chances to meet with deities themselves. I'd sprinkle in some neat encounters like fighting with the undying Enhenjar to prove their strength in battle, tracking magical creatures through the Beastlands, stopping a network of thieves stealing precious artifacts that they wish to smuggle into the material plane. There's lots of fun options there. The overall theme of the campaign would be to ask the question, what is it to be good? How does one prove their goodness, and what is it worth? I am currently developing a Spelljammer pirate game. Original, I know, taking some inspiration from One Piece and the movie Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet has always been a favorite of mine, so running a game in that world sounds incredible to me and my group. Honestly, I love that movie too. Thankfully, we're mid-campaign for another DM, and there's already several people wanting to do one-shots, and another person wanting to run his campaign. So I have time to finalize more details. House of Lament, from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. It was a blast to run. I played it as a Halloween one-shot for my group, complete with creepy music and candle lighting. They had a blast, I had a blast, and we still talk about that game from a year ago. I also randomly throw in references to it into our normal campaign. I've had an idea for a while, of a sort of a mid-magic modern set zombie apocalypse game. It would probably be better for a different system because of the modifications I want to make to the rules, but honestly, I like the idea of D&D characters built like D&D characters who just happen to be in an alternate history Earth. It would be low level, like 1 to 5 max, with full casters leveling like half casters or something of that nature. We would feature resource management, finding hideouts, making allies with other small surviving parties in the abandoned wastes of the small town that they all grew up in. The first mission would be a food medicine resource run to the nearby 7-Eleven, which is surrounded by zombies and has been trapped by others trying to secure the load for themselves, making it a sort of really funky mini dungeon. The big bad evil guy would be a fantasy technomancer who's somehow been causing all these problems. Also, a lot of the magic would be reflavored to the point that, like, it's, still obviously magic, but healing would be things like being able to command medical equipment to work faster, stuff like that. So you could still play a tiefling or an Aarakocra if you want. I've been daydreaming about a sprawling, cross-plane, MacGuffin-searching political intrigue with heists and masquerade balls type campaign. Essentially, at least half of the party will have been sent by the Queen of the Fey Court to track down a magic artifact that has been stolen, eventually meeting the rest of the party as they track it through to the material plane, where the magic in it is less stable and is causing adverse effects wherever it goes. They'll find out it's been stolen by rebels, who know that the Queen was somehow using the item to further corruption, both political and magical in her court, and they'll need to decide whether they want to stand with her and keep up this trend, or destroy the artifact and risk war with several other Fey courts, all because of a plethora of reasons that have been held off by the power the party's court had while wielding the object. Either way, this will lead them through different paths, breaking criminals out of prison, or trying to unseat the captain of the Fey Royal Guard, and who knows how it'll end. Because in a completely homebrew world, I like to make things up as I go in order to really solidify the most impactful course of action towards the end. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below. Do you have any campaign ideas? Anything you'd like to talk about that you've been brewing, stewing, and thinking on? We love you all. Please be safe. See you next time, and bye for now.